Hello and welcome to Bedson and Coffey Unfiltered,
where we will be discussing fitness, lifestyle, healthy eating habits, relationships, gas station performance pills, answering romantic queries. You have anything else, Tyler? Is there anything? Do you need help with anything right now? Because I feel like I'm in a position where I can help you with it.
I mean, and everything else that we come across as we go. But
That's
you know
it.
how it's going to be, right?
It's going to be unfiltered. Are illegal in multiple countries. You know?
Yeah.
Some are illegal here.
Yeah, I think it was United Kingdom where they made like pit bulls illegal.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
Well, then there's like the Doggo Argentina, those big.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like a giant pit bull, but it's white.
Yeah, those
And
things
there's
are
different
fucking
ones
sweet.
too. Yeah.
I have a buddy of those. He has a Chihuahua and he has one of those. And it's a good mix.
Yeah.
You know, so you get like this.
Wait a fucking minute. Wait a minute. You said he's got a mix between a Chihuahua and a Doggo Argentina?
No. He's that'd be fucked. He's got a Doggo Argentina
I was about to
and
be
a Chihuahua.
I'm
but
like,
he,
hold on. Say that again. I'm gonna
Yeah.
right now live go into Grok and like create an image.
Oh shit! Can you do that?
Yeah, dude. Have you used the Grok AI yet to create an image?
Even better. Don't do an image of the puppy. Do an image of the conception of the puppy.
Yeah, create an image of a mix between a what?
Like Doggo Argentina. It's DOGO.
Yeah.
Argentina.
DOGO.
Yeah. If you can't spell Argentina, then you need to go back to history class. And then Chihuahua spelled Chihuahua.
Yeah. Two Wawas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God for autocorrect. There was an H or two in there. I wasn't checking in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not. Hold on. Do it again.
It's not good at this because it's just not. It doesn't exist.
We were
Like,
listening to the
I'm
podcast yesterday with Rogan and Elon on the way down, and like they were trying to get Grok to tell dark humor.
Yeah. They're trying to get him to like roast. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, be more vulgar.
Yeah. Capital more. Like he had to go like into detail with it. It tried, but wasn't quite there
No,
yet.
but he's got one of those. And he's got a Chihuahua, so he's got two different dogs. But he'll take
Two ends
pictures
of
of
the
them,
spectrum.
together, and they get
Yeah.
along.
Yeah.
But
No, that doesn't look absurd enough. It looks just like a normal dog.
Yeah. That's
that's not correct.
That's not correct at all.
No, they made it look too pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At first you said, I thought you meant he had like a mix of them. And I was like, I don't know which one I would find more impressive if the Chihuahua was the male or the female.
Yeah.
But it takes some work. It
That
takes
would take some work. A
Takes some
ladder,
work.
step ladder.
Yeah.
And fucking have a Red Bull and get some wings.
Uh-huh. I just don't understand animals being illegal. You know,
Yeah.
like if I want a giraffe, I want to be able to get a giraffe. Like, I think that if you can house it, you should be able to have it.
Yeah. Would you
long
like
as it
to
doesn't
have?
escape.
Would you like to have a giraffe?
Maybe not. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
think I could like get on it. Like, I have to get a ladder. I feel like it'd pick on me. You know. You ever seen those videos of like little kids feeding a giraffe at the zoo and
Yeah.
it picks them up off the ground? The
But I mean,
parents are
it
trying to
looks
get
like the giraffe's having fun.
it.
you know?
Giraffe probably is
Animals
having
got to
fun.
have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You imagine how much fun chickens have? I mean, they get to eat with their peckers. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't tell me you wouldn't like.
Dude,
I mean,
you better have a vaulted ceiling if you have a giraffe, though.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna? I mean,
Yeah, that's
You're gonna have to have a barn or like a cathedral.
you could be like Tiger King.
A giraffe
You know?
king. You know
Yeah, you could
that's
be
crazy.
Giraffe
Looking
King.
back at 2020, you know how many
Just get
times
some
I
good
watched
meth
Tiger
and-
King?
I mean, you've already
Oh,
got
my
some guys
goodness.
that'll marry you, don't you?
No.
it's
Maybe
Kentucky,
you.
man. Come on, yeah, you do.
Maybe me.
Yeah. You'd be my first one I would court.
That's right. That's right.
Get you some
You toy with
protein.
my emotions, Tyler.
What was he giving his meth? Yeah.
Not just that wasn't any kind of meth. I mean, that one fucker lost their arm on a Monday,
Oh yeah.
was back to work on a Tuesday.
That's crazy.
That's good
Wait,
meth.
what?
Got his arm tore off
Where was this?
on Tiger King.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was
Lost an arm
Yeah, like
on. I mean, no shit. Like
Like
on-
from the shoulder, from the elbow,
from
like,
the fucking shoulder, I think. Right? It pulled it out of the socket.
and just like ripped it off.
I had
Yeah.
so much free time during that. I watched that show like 3 times.
Man, like
Like-
honestly, that was the best
was-
part of lockdown was you had this
They were like
gay polygamist, gun toting,
conveniently just
Just-
on Netflix at the time.
and he wanted to run for president.
You know what's crazy? I followed him on Instagram. He followed me back.
He followed me.
No, he did not. That's amazing.
Remember, he followed both of us
Oh,
because
yeah,
I
I
made a
was like-
post or some shit, and it's like
That's my call to fame right there. Is like who can you
Yeah, that Tiger King was rubbing one out to you in his prison cell, looking at your page.
He's got his cell phone. He's
that
like,
is nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
You know, it's fucked up. That's possible.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah, but I mean, like, honestly, like, I would say that, I mean, but it's kind of, is it not flattering though? Like, I mean, honestly, like if we'll do a poll on Tyler's page later of like how many people have actually touched themselves to your Instagram. I bet it's more than 2.
You know, I'll get a lot of like fake profiles probably on there. And it'll answer yes.
Yeah.
Or just people who go through it
Yeah.
next. I don't want to answer truthfully. I'm going to be like, if you didn't answer, then it's a yes.
Right. No response is a response.
The response is yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Yeah,
didn't
I mean,
want to
like,
admit it. You're too much pride. You're shy. It's okay.
yeah, I mean, an empty browser history says way more
Oh
than
my
full.
God.
You know what I'm saying?
Very true.
So true.
Very
Is
true.
it not?
Man,
That's
yeah.
it.
That's some wisdom right
What
there.
are you hiding?
Yeah, where you hide?
Yeah.
I had a friend, he and his wife got divorced, and he started going through, it was a horrible divorce, but he started going through and sharing things from our browser history. And it's, oh, yeah, I got bad. I got
Man.
bad.
That sounds like a bad idea, man.
Oh,
Were there kids
yeah.
involved?
Yeah, but it was so little, it didn't really know at the time.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
yeah.
Huh?
But they all get along now. It's great. But yeah, at that time, it was,
At that time, it was spicy.
it was spicy.
You know, today we got a guest. We finally found a furry.
Yeah.
It took us
Yeah.
Yeah.
almost a year.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we have Anthony.
Yeah,
Would you like
buddy.
to introduce yourself?
I'm a furry, apparently.
Gotta be something.
If I was a furry, I have to pick just an animal. What is a furry? It's just somebody that identifies as an animal?
I think
pretty sure.
Tyler's, no. Don't
No,
say pretty
okay.
sure. Like you're obsessed with this.
Not completely, but I'm trying to educate
You bring it
myself.
up very
But that's why I
often.
brought Anthony.
I was gonna say you have brought this up before. I've seen it on our
I brought it
Instagram.
up at least 5 episodes.
Yeah, I've
Yes.
heard it. Like,
So I
this is
mean,
the
when you
thing.
look at the total numbers, though, 5 episodes is a pretty
That's
high
a
percentage.
good percentage.
It
Yes,
is a good percentage.
very
so
interesting
what
to
would
me.
you refer to a furry as?
I would refer it to, okay, so based on my education, which is very little, keep in mind so nobody get offended. I would consider it somebody that dresses and identifies as an animal in a costume.
Okay.
But like
Does it? Okay, so this is a question. Does it have to be sexual, or can it be sexual? It can be
I
sexual.
think it can be like, you know,
this day and age, everybody makes everything. Like,
yeah.
if I had to pick an animal, if I was forced at gunpoint to be like, you must identify as an animal. I'd
for the
probably
rest
pick-
of your life.
for the rest of your life,
For the rest of your life.
probably like a silverback gorilla.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
seems
so-
it seems the closest to, like, I can,
You can relate.
I guess, or
That's a fair decision there.
Mm.
they're savage.
You just
Yeah.
have to become a
Yes.
vegetarian, and you know your wife is
Yeah,
completely just eating
nah.
You're just out
grass.
there eating like pumpkin seeds.
Man, I
and
remember
grass.
back when I worked at the supplement store back in the day. Guy came into me and he was like, big time vegetarian. Like that's all he was like huge into. And he was like, well, if gorillas can eat only grass, then why can't humans? And I was like, brother, you're not a gorilla.
Yeah.
And it's like, he didn't understand they have different like digestion, and it was just
You're yeah.
it's like I educated him. He's like, you're wrong.
I don't know why people ever compare humans to the animal kingdom. The people will do that even like
Oh yeah.
over moral issues. And I'm like you don't see, or milk. They'll be like, humans are the only species that, drinks other species milk. I'm like, we're also the only species that has 401ks and flies in planes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I always got to
talking
witness
about
the
here?
weirdest stuff. Then it was like, nothing against CrossFitters. I know a few of them that are cool, but I know more of them that are culty. But they would come in. Remember Maximus, the CrossFit?
Yeah.
Is that still around?
I have no idea.
I don't keep up with it. So
Maybe.
yeah.
They were off
But
of Regency, weren't they?
They
Or-
would come in to the shop and they would just be like, they would all have the same views, but they'd be like, yeah, we all bought a cow and we're going to slaughter it this weekend together. And I was like, okay.
Slaughter it together.
Yeah, slaughter it together.
It's going to be a team building exercise.
But they're like, first we're going to farm the milk from it. And then like, I'm like, okay, so, all right.
I mean, I'm kind of weird like
Team
that.
slaughter.
I mean, I have a pig I'm going to slaughter.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, are
that's
you
pretty-
doing it as like a team? Like,
Nope. As a family.
Yeah.
As a family.
See,
that's it.
That's more acceptable. But like, imagine you're like, all right, you got your group and your cult with you.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
I just picture a bunch of CrossFitters like going to
in
milk it and they
loincloths.
realize they bought a steer.
Full on robes.
It's like, hey,
out there getting
They got their robes on and they're just out there.
K-tape.
getting blood,
They do a few power cleans before.
getting blood all over their nobles and freaking out.
That's right. That's right.
Man, that was wild to me. They'd come in, like, it was like every other week though. They had a different thing they were doing, you know. And it was just like one week it'd be like, oh, we got a cow, we're gonna kill it, and then the next week they're like, we don't eat meat anymore, we only eat carrots, and it would just go on and on. I'd be like, all right, what's the trend this week?
Did they eat carrots for the taste or the shape?
Probably no. That's a question for CrossFitters.
That's his question. I mean,
Yeah.
He framed it as an either or. And I'm like, trying to think of the shape. Oh, okay. I see where he's going.
I've always thought it's interesting though, how everybody kind of used different fields of strength sports or bodybuilding or anything of the sort. You know, like we've got back when I used to skateboard as a kid, and that was like what I was really into. But I remember we had kids at the skate park. They would like rollerblade, and we had the skateboarders, and we had the guys that did like BMX. But they'd all talk shit about each other. It's crazy. Like they'd call kids that did a rollerblade. They'd be like, that fruit booter over there.
Dude, there's
I was like, damn. Like,
there's like entire Disney family movies from like the late 90s about that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like,
it's
I remember
crazy.
there's a Disney movie about like this one kid from California moves to Aspen and he's like trying to hang out with the preppy kids, but they all do skiing and he does snowboarding. And it's just like giant rivalry because he's
like every show had like some kid with a flannel shirt tied around his waist that was like rollerblading.
oh my gosh.
90s.
Yeah, man.
As far as CrossFit, like, I mean, everybody shits on CrossFit. I have a lot of clients that do
I do too.
some
And
cross training like that.
A lot of them are very respectable.
But I will say one thing that CrossFit has done is put barbells in the hands of a lot of people that would have never done so.
I support anything that makes people do something.
Yeah.
Right. No, 100%. And like, I would also say too, that the level of like CrossFit coaching, level 1 CrossFit coaches in 2012 was an unmitigated disaster. And I feel like the bar is so much higher now.
Well,
Like-
I think the overall knowledge has grown so much because the market and I mean, with social media and podcasts and stuff, like it's more saturated with information. So I think a lot of people have smartened up a whole bunch to it. And, you know, they're not just going out there and doing things quite as ignorantly as they were.
The
Last-
only time I've had people get injured is when they randomly do a Murph or something like that with no training or no diet. And they're just like, they're not set up to do something like that. Like I'll have somebody in like a full on cut and I'll be coaching them. They'll be like, I did Murph this past weekend and I got rhabdo. And I'm like, well, why did you do that? Like, I was like, that's not on your programming. That was a random decision.
If you take somebody that's never done barbell training and you put them in a difficult class where they're doing power cleans or they're doing deadlifts for reps, and you know, the margin for error is the distance between your load and your limit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And whenever you start to, you know, get fatigued or the weight gets heavier and stuff, then the load gets a lot closer to your limit. And once you pass that threshold, you're going to get injured. I mean, it's no different from, you know, you got a white belt in class and how spastic and crazy they can feel sometimes. Dude, it's the same concept. It's like, okay, well, they don't know. So like, they're going to go crazy and they're going to do whatever they think is right at the time. So, you know, having somebody say, hey, listen, we're going to start here. We're going to do this, and kind of work up to some of those things.
Yeah. Something you just got to progress with every time.
So it is, man. And I think people get upset because yoga pants.
That was a fantastic. All right.
We don't really believe in segues.
Listen,
here.
that and air conditioning are proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. Like those two things, specifically.
Yoga pants and
And
have
air
any yoga
conditioning.
pants, Tyler?
What? Do I wear yoga pants?
Do you wear yoga pants?
No, they don't fit. I've tried
We
to
call them
find some, but they're
spats
not.
in jiu-jitsu, but let's just be real.
Hey,
what
so
they
you
are.
just come up with a different name for
Correct.
it. It's,
They try
it's
to make
completely okay. You know?
They try to make everything in jiu-jitsu sound less gay, but it's like jiu-jitsu
Do you see like
Oh, man.
crop
Like,
tops
listen.
are coming back for men?
Well, like
I'm not gonna wear them because I, you know, but
My wife stopped in. My wife's a massage therapist, and her studio is like in the same building where I do jujitsu. And she had a client one evening, very rare, and she comes in and she's watching my buddy Matt and I roll. He's a purple belt, and he's really, and like, he's like trying to triangle me, and I stand up, and I just literally put my hand like against his throat, and I'm pushing on him, and he just goes, "Choke me harder, daddy." And my wife is like, she's just standing there at the door like, this is the gayest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Now, were you guys in class or was
We were
this
in class. We were rolling.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just
I
live
didn't-
rolling.
Oh, this was at the gym.
Yeah, we was at the
Okay.
gym.
I didn't know
Yep.
if like y'all were just like hanging out in the living room or something.
No, that's a little weird, but
Okay.
Yeah, and I try to explain things to Linz. I try to explain things to her. I'm like, yeah, like, and so then what you want to do is you want to like, you know, put your knee on them, you get them by the throat, and you mount them.
Yeah, you mount them.
And then you mount them.
Now, you get betwixt my legs.
And then get in my guard. Get in my guard.
You know, the UFC fights I hate to watch where the dude like literally like they start fighting and he just falls back down on the ground, waits for him to come mount him.
That's pulling guard. Yeah.
And I'm just like, come on.
Well,
like,
if you just fall and you're waiting, that's not even pulling guard. That's just, you know, you used to see that more. Now they'll stand them up a bunch.
Yeah, which is what they should do.
In Pride FC years ago, you'd have guys they'd let them butt scoot forever. And then you'd have guys like Sakuraba just beat their legs to pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kick them in the legs over and over until they couldn't stand up.
No,
dude, leg kicks have like become crazy.
Calf kicks.
Calf kicks, man. Brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal.
Well, there's nowhere for that blood to go. Like once your calves get, oh my God.
But then the thing though too is like it's not obviously it's doing more damage to them than it is to you. But that's a lot on your leg too.
True. You ever had a leg kick checked?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're just going shin to shin. Like that's what
it sucks.
Once you check a leg kick, you're just going shin to
That's
shin.
why people break their legs doing that stuff. It's crazy.
Yes and no. So like if you look how your lower leg is formed, like you've got your tib fib. So if you say I'm going to kick you with my right leg, if I turn my left toe out, then I can turn my hips.
Yeah.
And then I can kick with my toes pointed this way. Of course, you'll extend the foot, but then my tib fib is stacked in line. You have some guys that can pull this off, but for most people, if they're lazy with it and they try to just throw it out quick and they don't open their hips and their toes are pointed up, now the tib fib is up and down instead of in line. So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So here, this is stronger. This, not as much.
Dude, it's wild in jiu-jitsu.
And you'll see it wrap around somebody's leg. It's
wild. It's wild in jiu-jitsu how like a fraction of an inch is all the difference in terms of pressure and submission.
There's some things an inch will make a big difference in.
Dude, yeah, absolutely.
There it is.
That's true.
All right. Well, so now, Anthony, officially introduce yourself with that. This is not a furry.
No.
We unfortunately could not find one. We've been searching. Contact us, email us, you know.
Look for California, I feel like.
Anthony, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? Where you from?
Cool. So Anthony Diehl, I lived here in Lexington for 11 years from 2009 to 2020, but I was born and raised in Pennsylvania. That's where I live now. So I live out in the country. I'm surrounded by cornfields and Amish folks.
Nice.
I love it, dude. It's awesome. Married 15 years, 3 kids. My daughter who's 11, going to be 12 with an attitude of like an 18-year-old. Dude, it was so hard. This is the first year, like up until now, everything's been like unicorn and rainbows and like bows in her hair. And this is the first year, like she cares about what she looks like and she's all about style.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then my boys are all into this Gen Alpha dumb speak, like the, Skibbity Ohio shiz.
Leaked cheese.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Well, we were talking about that last night. I was like, what in the world is going on?
It's brain rot. It's
you can't even find some of this shit on Urban Dictionary. Like, you can look it up.
Give me an example.
It's like Skibbity Ohio is like, that's a term that just means like something's bad. I think it's hilarious that Ohio is synonymous for bad. It's just negative.
Yeah, I could see that though.
Sigma is good. Yeah. If something is really like kind of lame or meh, that's dog water, bro.
I got you. I spent a year in Ohio once. I think it was on a Tuesday. Ohio's not too bad.
It's you got to go to the right areas. There's a few areas, but like I'm not big on like Cleveland and
Trump likes Ohio.
Yeah,
the podcast with Rogan, and he was like, yeah, and if you win in Ohio, it's a swing state. He goes, Joe, that's not a swing state. He's like, that's my state. I'm going to win Ohio. I'm going to win it big, Joe.
He did. He won Ohio, yeah.
No, like the times I've been to Ohio more is like Northern Kentucky. That's kind of how I feel about it.
I feel like Cincinnati
that's where my wife's from. Yeah. That area is all right.
I feel like Cincinnati's populated by the people from southeastern Kentucky that left in like the 40s and 50s.
It basically is.
It is.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Like when you get up there, you're like, oh yeah, okay.
Yep.
I know these people.
Yeah. It's been good to come back to Lex though. It's lots changed, man.
Yeah, it really has, man. I've been here a long time, and it has changed more in just the past 5 years.
Well, like when we moved here in 2009, I mean, like all of the summit and all that was a field.
Yep.
Brandon Crossing was dirt piles. There was nothing up there.
No.
And then when I left, like it was the movie theater up there, the Kroger, they had the Drakes. They were starting to build up there, but I went to Drake's last night with a friend of mine.
Which one did you go to?
The one up in Brandon.
Oh, that one's horrible.
Is it?
It's the worst one.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Jake's Cigar Bar was right behind us.
Yeah.
That was dope.
Jake's is awesome. Like I go there every Thursday. It's a good place. But it's so funny to me that like it's illegal to smoke indoors anywhere but Jessamine County. And that's like he made all his money off of just deciding to open that in Jessamine County because it's the only place you can smoke
Wow,
indoors.
I didn't know that. That's
Everywhere else, you're not allowed to. And that's why he's made so much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super cool. Yeah.
I've seen that. I've never been there, but I've seen it.
It's nice,
Come
man.
sometime, man. It's fun. They have a really nice setup in there. I've been really into smoking cigars for the past year now. It's like super cool place, great environment. You can just come there with some buddies and hang out, and everybody in there's chill. Like you'll see like the Kentucky football, basketball coaches in there, like just hanging out.
It's
like
a nice vibe.
Normal people.
Yeah, I like it. I got into cigars. Well, two reasons. I moved to Pennsylvania. Like we go to a Presbyterian church, and so we're Presbyterian, so we smoke cigars and drink beer. And then also I was in prep, and I'm like, I need something where I can do and hang out with friends and socialize that's not caloric.
Yep.
And the cigars were the thing, and that became my thing. Is like, oh man, I can't drink with you guys. I can't do whatever, but like we can sit around a bonfire and I can smoke some cigars.
Yep.
So I got into cigars and pipes because of that, really.
Yeah. It's a conversation thing too.
Correct.
It's just something to do.
Yep.
Something to do with your hands, you know?
Something to do with your hands and a stick.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm picking up on the innuendos now. I'm getting it.
Lexington's
See?
wild. It's like it's grown as a city so much since I've been here. And like we used to live over near Brandon Crossing. That's where I bought my first house at. And it's crazy because I bought that house. And when Brandon Crossing started building all that stuff over there, it's crazy how much that went up. And they started building schools over there.
Yeah.
And they've got like factories over there now for
It was
random
massive.
stuff.
So
I'm like, what in the world?
Because I was talking,
keeps growing.
I pulled out. Normally, you just have to go out Brandon Road and back out to Nicholasville because it kind of dead ended back there where they were constructing. And now it goes all the way out to Tate's Creek Road. I took it out last night. And I'm like, dude.
And there's still so much land out there.
So much.
There's
like compounds out there. Some of those houses.
There's a house that's called Serenity Estates. That's where, remember Darius Miller played for UK basketball? He just built the house out there. And it's huge. But, you got old UK basketball players that played in the NBA moving back here to live over in that area. Like, that's pretty sweet. Like, different. You don't usually see people coming here, but now they're starting to.
Right.
With like,
Lexington's beautiful. I mean, realistically, the only reason we ever moved away is we were just kind of on an island here in terms of my kids were getting older and all of my family, both sides of my family is in Pennsylvania. And it was really, we moved at a good time because my mom ended up passing away 2 years ago. And so we had 2 years with her before. That would have sucked if we were still living in Kentucky and she was battling cancer, going back and forth. So we were able to be there with her for those last couple of years. My kids got to spend a lot of time with her and stuff. So Lancaster's pretty. I love it. It's like, great place to raise a family.
My family's from around the outside of Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah, okay.
God, it's like Springfield, Oliphant Furnace area. It's a real small area. But Pennsylvania is really nice. I actually really love Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh's actually one of my favorite cities to go to.
Pittsburgh's a really nice city.
Yeah, they have multiple competitions there each year. And
I was just there twice this last year for competitions. I love the, what's the really old school gym? It's not Powerhouse in Pittsburgh, but there's another one.
Oh, the one downtown?
Yeah.
God, I went there to train when I was there last, and I cannot remember the name, but
it's a weird name.
It's
like the something shop, like muscle shop, body shop, yeah.
Body shop is what it is. Pictures from like the 60s out there.
It's old school equipment. They've got like the old school like Arnold pullover machine.
Half the shit it barely works.
Yeah.
That was a struggle there. I was trying to get to work. I was like, man, I can't wait to use that piece, and I get to it, and I'm like, oh.
It rattles.
I was like, the weight doesn't move. Okay. All right.
We were doing single arm pull downs on this, and the whole thing is like, I'm like, dude, there's like a bolt from 1970 that's about stripped out, and it's like wiggling back and forth. It's like the only thing holding that.
It's not even a bolt anymore. It's just a dowel pin. Just a dowel pin holding it.
Exactly right.
How'd you like that gym, the Powerhouse in Vegas?
Man, that was one of the best gyms I've ever been to.
That's what I said, man. I really
will say that.
place.
Like, so Vegas has a lot of cool gyms, and people from all over the country I have that I coach will message me and be like, where should I go work out when I go here? Where should I go when I work here? So I've been to a lot of gyms, and that one was one of my favorites. Like, just
have you used that?
I've been there once.
The atmosphere, the people that owned
Kyle's
it.
Powerhouse there.
Yeah, better than Dragon's Lair.
I agree. I
thought so
feel
too.
like Dragon's Lair is more of like a tourist thing. That if you go to Vegas, you have to go to Dragon's Lair. You should still do it. It's got good equipment. you'll likely see somebody there that is very popular in the fitness industry in some way, either YouTube or bodybuilding or anything.
It's kind of small though. Yeah. I was like shocked at how small it was realistically.
They opened, I don't know when the last time you're there, they opened up that room where they used to do the Arsenal showcase room.
Yeah.
And they made it into a leg room.
Oh, cool.
So it does have a little bit more spread out. Yeah.
I was there in August for the ADCC. And and
Powerhouse still better than
Powerhouse is, man. Though. And the equipment they have, one of the employees there was telling me about it. I guess it's from Korea or something.
Yeah, the new tech.
And she said, she's like, Iris will be back next week and I can get your information. She can call you about it. And I was like, I don't even know.
I bet you that shit's expensive.
Well, I mean, you think about having it brought from Korea. I mean, just the
shipping.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it would.
You're going to be spending.
I don't know that it would be worth it to have it,
Where I'm at in Lancaster, unfortunately, there's a lot of gyms, but there's not one like great bodybuilding gym. I got to go 45 minutes away to Power Build in King of Prussia. That's a really great gym. They have everything you possibly want.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool, it's like heavy in powerlifting and bodybuilding. But in Lancaster, it's all a bunch of like little boutique gyms or kind of like a big Globo gym.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm this weirdo that has like 4 gym memberships. And I'll bounce around depending on like what's in my plan. I'll be like, okay,
what day it is,
yeah. I'm like, well, I'll go to Universal, but I'm not doing quads there because they don't have a pendulum squat, and also their hack squat is the worst designed thing ever. And then this one doesn't have a lying leg curl, and then this one has. So like, I just kind of
like go based on what I'm training, the way I'm feeling that day. Do I want to see people? No.
Correct.
I might go like Elite Fitness in Nicholasville, smaller gym in Nicholasville. I'll go there. It's about 20 minutes away from my house, but it's got better leg equipment. So I go there on leg days.
I just ordered a new pendulum squat and a really nice hack squat for my gym.
That's going to be sick, dude. That's a good investment. Because the
pendulum's the best, man.
With gyms, the more equipment you have that is more specialty, you're going to get people that sign up just because you have that piece.
I've got my gym broken up into 3 areas. I've got the main area with cardio and the machines, and then the middle area is a leg room. It's all leg specific equipment.
Yeah.
And most all the stuff's Prime, Arsenal, so on. And then I've got a power room with all barbell training.
Yeah.
What do you think about Arsenal? I feel like Arsenal is hit or miss. I feel like some pieces they knock out of the freaking park.
And some are horrible.
Some you couldn't give them to me. No. Like they have a chest machine that doesn't converge. It just
it's kind of
and it's huge. It's like as wide as this desk. And then I love their leg press. I like the angle on the bottom so it supports the lumbar.
Leg press,
and then the unilateral.
I can get great knee flexion.
I have their leg press. I have their leg press, but I don't have the one that it's a solid sled. It doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't have the singles.
I didn't really care for that. But yes, the sled itself is concave. The bottom tilts forward.
Yes.
The top, and then of course you can adjust the seat for hip flexion and so on, and it works really.
I feel like I could get super deep with that. Lumbar was supported.
Yes, no,
and
it's
great for your ego because you can put like 97 million plates on it and just feel
the damn thing empties.
The
about
thing I love
200
about it is I can sit there and I can only put like 5 or 6 plates aside on there, go super slow, get that flexion, pause in the hole, and it feels smooth.
The one thing that I like about all their equipment, I mean,
that.
I don't disagree that some of the designs, like when you have a chest press and it doesn't come together, you don't feel your chest flex as much, obviously. But with some stuff, like with all of their equipment, though, the quality, like the bearings and the craftsmanship and stuff, it is top.
There's little misses, like their lying leg curl.
The ergonomics of the machine.
Their lying leg curl
sometimes
that you can't the foot pad, you can't adjust it. So like all they needed to do was put a sleeve on there, drill some holes so you could adjust that thing, because the way my body is, when I lay down on that thing, my knees are already under tension, which is not great. And then so like if you're pushing a set really hard, you could like hyperextend your knees just finishing up. I'm like, man, all you needed was a sleeve and some holes to adjust that.
On those, I have Prime.
But I love
Prime's
really.
what I have in my basement gym, and that's primarily plate-loaded
row.
I got the plate-loaded row. I've got the lying leg curl, the leg extension. I got the rack, and I mean, you can get everything done.
Prime's good stuff. I've got their pull-down attachment.
Yeah,
it's got the handles that adjust in and out. And
you see what they're coming out with? They're coming out with an attachment that you can attach to their rack where it allows you to do leg extensions and leg curls on the rack.
I've seen that. That's super cool.
Yeah, there's a couple other people that have those too.
I like their multi-purpose machine too. Arsenal's multi-purpose one with like the swinging arms and then the oscillating handles.
Stiff leg deadlifts, RDLs.
Yeah, so I did RDLs with those because like with my back, when I came out of Strongman, it was pretty dicey for the first little while. And so I would do dumbbell RDLs because I could just keep it more towards the center line of my body.
Sure.
But then I'm like, I mean, I'm used to deadlifting mid sevens. So I'm like, even my, the gyms goes up to like 120s and dumbbells. That's not heavy enough. But barbells, I didn't want to like hurt my back.
Sure.
So using the multi-purpose machine, able to angle that handle out and then load it with plates. I was like, oh, money, here we go.
I like doing it on the belt squat.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Because I can step back and it pulls me forward.
Yeah.
So it even if I have somebody who doesn't understand that movement very well, because it takes a bit of understanding of body mechanics to do an RDL correctly. Everyone wants to round their back and then they loosen their hamstrings and so on. But
Well, then they get this artificial definition of like depth. They see somebody criticizing like depth. I'm like, man, everything's range of motion based on your body.
it is. I
Based
mean,
on a
you're trying to
person's
just
body.
you're trying to just get tightness in that hamstring. You're trying to work the hamstring from a lengthened position. So you're just
Lengthened
pushing your
position.
hips away from the weight.
Yep.
That's it. Keep your back neutral. Push your hips away from the weight.
Yep.
But with the like a belt squat or something, when you push your hips back, it's pulling you forward instead of just straight down. So you can change the angle of resistance. So it makes them want to pull their hips back into the weight instead of just dropping the weight and picking it back up.
That's commonly, those are some of the movements I see people doing incorrectly all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They'll let the weight get too far away from them. They won't keep it tight.
Reminds me of
things
a
like that.
hilarious story when I was coaching somebody in person over at Wildcat Fitness before we moved. And there was this new trainer there and he was a really cool kid, really young and super zealous. But like, the kids that are fresh out of their like certification or whatever, and they want to like impress their clients. So they're trying to use all this like technical speak that's way over here.
Yeah.
He's trying to explain like a hip hinge to this girl. And he's like, no, we want to move like posteriorly through the sagittal plane. I'm like, and she's like, eyes are glazed over. And I just walked back and I was like, hey, push your ass back like a stripper. And she immediately does it. And I'm like, okay, man, like you got to make this relatable.
Oh, yeah, you can't talk over
if you
people.
can't explain something simply, you don't understand it.
My buddy, do you ever meet Zach Homo? Do you hear of him? Do you ever interact with him in the interwebs or spaces? I don't know. He's a good friend of mine, a good coach out in Indianapolis. And he actually has a toilet in his gym, like that he bought from Lowe's. And he teaches people, he's like, look, 0 people just plop down on a toilet. Everybody hinges. Think about it next time you sit down on a toilet. Everyone hinges. And so he would like make them hinge on the toilet and like grab a PVC pipe or a dowel rod and like he wouldn't let them get a barbell in their hands until they could properly. I was like, that was a really good cue because like,
you just walk into a gym, see a toilet in the middle of the floor.
what's
I
going
free
on
fall
over
and
here?
hope for the best. I don't know what
I'm
you're
like,
talking about.
yeah, man.
Just kick your feet out and fall.
Yeah, I just fall into the toilet,
You ever sit on it backwards so you got the little shelf for your stuff?
Straddle it, you mean? Yeah. Sit there and eat.
You poop
I
reverse
know,
cowbell.
like when I need to get a meal down.
You got a
bro.
place for your milk and your sandwich and stuff?
Yeah, I set it down. I sit there. You don't do that?
Well, I thought everybody did that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
Depends if the toilet seat's more rounded or if it's one of those like oblong industrial ones. You know what I'm saying? You can't like, I don't have the good flexion mobility to like straddle one of those rounded.
Yeah. Or if it's like a toilet you don't know and you don't pay attention, you get a witch's kiss when you sit down.
Witch's kiss.
What?
Cal gets it.
Oh, man.
Carry on.
Everybody's just taking a sip real quick.
Yeah. Recalibrate.
Recalibrate. That's a good way to do it.
You can check Urban Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary, witch's kiss, everybody. Find you a surprise.
It's when you sit down and it bumps the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ruin your day quick.
Especially if you flush it.
You flush while you still sit on the toilet?
I have before.
Have you?
Yeah. Sometimes you got to renew the water.
I was going to say like, man, if you had Taco Bell before squat day or something, and then you drop a little like pre-workout, you got the pump and dump and you got to like, you've wiped 37 times. So you got to like make sure that you're not going to clog the toilet. So you flush it so you can keep going.
See, there's a good situation right there. But Taco Bell does not have the cantina menu, so you can actually digest a little bit better.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, I guess it's what you look
about this
for.
stuff ever.
It's what you
And
need.
like nobody
though.
else would
Sponsor
understand
me,
that.
Taco Bell. Yeah.
Are you looking for something you can digest well, or are you looking for like a quick
Are you
colon
looking
cleanse?
to clear yourself out? Order based off that.
Yeah.
Bean burrito, or do you want a cantina chicken taco? Like, there you go.
Which do you go
Options.
for?
I've been going that cantina chicken quesadilla they got now, man. I didn't think you could make the chicken quesadilla better, but they did.
I haven't been to Taco Bell probably in like 10 years.
I go once every like 4 to 6 months now.
If I'm in,
But
if
it's
I'm stuck
very
somewhere,
much worth it.
if I'm stuck somewhere and I can't find anything, then I'll stop there and get one of those cantina bowls,
Oh, see,
and I'll just get it with chicken and it has the black beans and the rice, and then I'll get it with the lettuce and the pico.
The people that
So
work
then
at
it's not
Taco
bad.
Bell headquarters smoke a lot of weed, so they've come up
Well,
with
yeah.
some great ideas, man. Like they'll come out with stuff where I'm just like, what the hell? What did you got? Like the Cheez-It thing now they literally got a giant Cheez-It, like 6-inch by 6-inch Cheez-It, and then they just put meat on it.
I feel like they gotta be like best friends with the people designing stuff at Dodge.
Yeah.
You know, like you've got like all these other companies like we're gonna make an electric this and we're gonna make an electric that, and then you've got some CEO at Dodge just rip a rail and be like, we're putting a fucking Hemi in a minivan.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like that's what we're
I'm
doing.
gonna have a Hellcat minivan.
That's it.
That's
They
crazy.
did too, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they
Yeah.
do. I mean,
That's amazing.
pretty much what you call like
Yeah.
the Dodge Durango in a way. It's like
Mm,
basically a band SUV hybrid.
maybe.
They've got some pretty strong powered ones of those.
Mhm.
I don't think they have any actual minivans though. That'd be a good idea.
They don't have minivans anymore. They
Dodge?
used to. Yeah,
I don't
did they
think they
cut the
have-
minivans? They got minivans, right? Caravan.
Caravan.
Dodge Caravan.
There
Yeah.
you go. That's right. You're right. I would know.
You have about 6 or 7 little toddlers. You're gonna need one.
Hey, I don't think I could do that. 7 kids sounds crazy. That's a Pennsylvania thing.
No, man, not hard to, actually, at our church, man, we got multiple families with like 7+ kids. It's crazy.
My mom
Sprinter
grew up in a
vans and
family
stuff.
with like
Oh, yeah.
14.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In Pennsylvania, they do that.
My buddy Dale just took he and his family out west to see their family and stuff, and they loaded up in like a 15 passenger, and they're pulling a trailer, and it's like, and inside the trailer, it's all super organized, but they've got like coolers, they've got a generator, a microwave, a fridge, and a freezer. Like they have, like they're ready to roll.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
It's
that'd be
like,
great.
yeah. But then too, like when you have a lot of kids and they start getting older, dude, that's called free labor. The older kids start taking care of the younger kids.
There you go.
It's
Yeah.
like,
My
Yeah.
mom had several siblings, and her oldest sister pretty much raised her.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, my
That's
grandma
how
just
exactly
checked
how
out.
my
Was
mom
done.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. She
Wow.
has a bunch of older sisters and they all raised each other and it's wild.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think I just don't imagine having that many kids nowadays.
3, 4, 5, 3, 4. That's a good. We have 3. It's a good.
Yeah.
It's a good number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you
it's
want to
good.
get on like a
Sensible.
TV show, like, you know,
Well, you have to. You have
what's
to
the
commit to it.
optimum, you know?
Like if you, yeah, if you're gonna get like, there's a line at which if you want to go on vacation anywhere, you have to get a minivan. I feel like 3 kids is that. We had a minivan. We lived here in Lexington. I totaled it coming back from a strongman training day.
Did you do it on purpose?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Yeah. And so, but then we moved to SUV. But like, I can get 3 kids in the back of the SUV. If you have third row seating, you're good. And whatever else. But like, if you had 4 kids and you want to go anywhere and like pack luggage and stuff, nope,
Yep.
that's it. You're committed to a minivan now.
Yeah.
No.
So that's the line. 3 kids. If you want to like not roll in a minivan, 3 kids is your line.
I mean, honestly, they make some really nice minivans now. Like,
They-
those things are decked out.
Dude, my brother-in-law was like, dude, he grew up with BJ Penn, black belt in jiu-jitsu, wrestler, whatever else, badass, Army, Green Beret, super jack, tough dude. And then their kids started coming along, and he had a big lifted truck, and it was time for that to go. And I'll never forget him rolling up into the Thanksgiving dinner, and he comes up in his like nice little like Nissan Quest. And he's like trying to justify it. He's like, but it's got this Bose and this and that. And he's like, and check out the, like, bro, like, you lost your man card, man. You like, he's like, yeah,
Gotta do what you gotta do.
got to do it.
And it's what it
Yeah.
is, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm an SUV guy. Can't do the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trend? What? Don't do it.
So how did you? So did you get started with powerlifting first, or strongman first? How did you kind of?
Strongman. Strongman was my entry. So I was a fatty in college, and the quick story is I don't really know why it snapped in my head. I was just with a bunch of friends freshman year. They were all weighing in because they had a wrestling tournament, and the last that I knew I was like 220, but like weak. And I stepped on the scale and I was 260. And I was like, oh, and I just something hit in my head. I was like, this isn't cool. And so,
And how old were you at this point?
so freshman 18.
Okay.
And so I played sports in high school, and so I was pretty active, but I was just, I mean, dude, I could do like 5 push-ups and that's it. And I was just fat.
Yeah, just big kid.
Big kid. And so I went to the gym the next morning. I said, all right, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run as many laps around this gym as I can possibly get. I got 6 laps. And I'm not talking about like a big gym. I'm talking about the basketball court.
Yeah.
So I'm like, asthmatic. And so I just said to myself, I know nothing about fitness or nutrition, zero. I'm going to just add a lap every single day. And then also, I know that meat and veggies are good, so I'm just going to eat meat and veggies. And that's what I did. And I did that I lost 90 pounds in about 9 months. But I also went from so then what happened is I went from being like fat, chubby kid who started running every day, never missed a day, became obsessed with it. And I kind of got a little too aggressive with it, ended up hurting my hip. It was like bone on bone, like I wore away the cartilage, and I was like hard to walk. And so I'm like, man, I'm going to gain all this weight back. And my buddy was like, well, come to the gym with me. And I remember walking into the gym for the first time when I was 18, and I'm like struggling with 95 pounds on the barbell. I'm like, oh man. But then something snapped in my head, and I realized, I started gaining strength fast. Mm-hmm. Like I was benching 300 pounds within 8 or 9 months of training. And I realized oh, I'm the chubby kid, I'm the stocky kid, but I'm kind of built to be strong. Now I trained like an idiot. Like it was bench and curls like 3 days a week. Oh yeah. The occasional leg press.
Maybe most kids
maybe
start,
a deadlift.
Yeah.
And then we got married, moved to Lexington. I'm doing my thing. And we joined LAC. And at that point, I'm like reading Elite FTS and stuff. So I'm training I'm doing a lot of Wendler 531.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm getting stronger. I benched 400 on my own, all that. Bench 400. I'm getting a little strong. But then there was, I don't know if you remember this kid, Weston Wilson, nice guy.
Sounds familiar.
He was like, hey man, do you want to do farmers carries? And I've seen it on TV, and I was like, yeah, where are you doing that? And it's like him and Justin Ford are out back.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. So I go out there, and Weston's like tiny. I'm way bigger than Weston. And he picks up 200 pounds per hand and just runs. And I'm like, so in my head, I still don't have a conception of how hard that is.
Sure.
So I'm thinking, oh, if he can do it, here we go.
Yeah.
And I pick it up. I'm like, I'm a drunk baby deer just waddling. And I was so mortified that how he just totally ragdolled me. But I'm bigger. I can squat more. And so I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I got to get better at that. And he's like, well, we train at Ford's house 10 o'clock on Saturdays. And I just showed up, and I got addicted to it. So that's how I got into it. And then how I started caring actually about nutrition, from the first 3 or 4 years of strength training and strongman, I did not care about health. It was if you'd said, hey man, here's this cup of raw sewage, drink that, and your deadlift goes to 800. I'd be like, all right, cool. What happens if I drink 2? But my middle son, Haddon, was diagnosed with autism when he was 2. And so we just started going down the rabbit hole of everything health, nutrition, mainly for him. So we removed gluten and dairy, anything we could do to drop inflammation for him to help his speech therapy. And it started working. And at this point, I wasn't taking tests. I wasn't doing anything. I was 29, 28. I have to do the math. But I just remember the only variable that changed in our life was we as a family committed to just being healthier. And my training just went nuts, dude. My strength, I remember I pulled, I would struggle with a 545 deadlift to get him. So I went up to 635 in a span of months. And it was just, I was prioritizing eating real whole food and just getting my protein. That's all. And so then that curiosity, I'm like, huh. And back then too, this is mid 2000s in the strength world, people really didn't care about health at all. And still they don't near to the degree that bodybuilders do, and maybe for different reasons. But back then, nobody cared. Dan Green was the first person that you saw that was a powerlifter breaking world records and was shredded.
Sure.
Every other powerlifter was a fat slob and was just he could move weight, but he wasn't aesthetic at all. And so I started what is this guy doing? I just started reading and learning that kind of stuff. And then, became a pro in strongman, pursued that, and moved. I've always wanted to do bodybuilding, and I always wanted to, but I thought I want to hit these strength numbers first.
Yeah.
And I would go to a lot of Alan Kress's seminars
Oh, yeah.
and just learn everything I could, because I realized very quickly that strength athletes were pretty retarded when it came to nutrition, and that bodybuilders were miles ahead. So I learned everything I could on the strength side from strength athletes, but I learned everything I could from bodybuilders on the nutrition side at the same time. And so then I went pro in strongman 2020, won America's Strongest Man, went and competed in Russia. And my body was running in the red for 9 months, just going. And then I come back from Russia and tear this bicep. And I'm trying to rehab that really fast, get surgery on it, popping all kinds of peptides and GH and everything else in there. And within 3 months, I'm back to overhead pressing 350, whatever. And then I literally that July, I'm up training with a buddy in Massachusetts and I herniated like a disc in my back. And I just realized that I have to do something different. I literally like the day I herniated my disc, I was laying on the floor of the gym up there and I had known I was going to come to you when I was ready.
Yeah.
I literally sent you a message and I was like, all right, when do we start? And I'm like, I need to pay you and I need to do it now. I need skin in the game because otherwise my dumb ass is going to be back in the gym next week trying to max stone load.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need a pivot shift out now. And I need something to hold me accountable to that. So like, let's go. And that was like, and then I realized how much I loved training bodybuilding style.
Oh yeah.
It's just fun. Yeah. Like the way I describe it to people is it's an art and a science and you're using food and weights like a sculptor and you're crafting a physique. It's very different than strength training.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved strength training. It's fun, but bodybuilding was just so much more fun.
Yeah. A lot of times when we're talking about it, like I'll explain it, like when you're working on strength, the idea is efficiency. Mm-hmm. We want to be able to be as efficient as possible and, posture in the most mechanically advantageous way so that we can move as much weight as safely as possible. And with bodybuilding, sometimes it's about actually being inefficient for the sake of taxing one specific muscle.
Right.
Like you're never going to pick something up like a lateral raise and hand it to somebody or move it that way.
No.
That's just inefficient, but we do it in a specific manner to target that muscle. And that's the main differences in the training that I see, whenever you have somebody who, whenever they start to get both sides of that spectrum, like Andrew that I work with, one hand washes the other and they carry over and they help each other. I have athletes that flip flop and so on. Yeah. Makes a big difference.
I tell you what, for the longevity game, I still have a few strength athletes. The large majority of my clientele is lifestyle clients now.
Sure.
And that's what I'm leaning into. Like, between me and Taylor, so we probably have like close to 150 clients now. And, but I would say maybe like 23, 24 competitors. The rest are all just like people that want to get off of statins and like just be healthy and be here for their grandkids and lose weight and stuff. And I love working with those folks.
Those people are so awesome to work with, man.
Their why is usually deeper.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Like somebody who had to come to Jesus meeting because like their lipid profile is insane. And they're like, man, I want to be here for my grandkids. Right. Like,
yeah.
I always say this too. I track the data. I have a giant spreadsheet of all the people I've ever worked with and like when they sign up, particularly like where do I connect with them? Like what social media and all that kind of stuff. And something that's my highest retention clients and the clients that are the most successful sign up in Q4. So that's why I hardly ever advertise around New Year's. Because I'm like, if somebody realizes they're sitting there in November 1st and they know Thanksgiving's coming and Halloween is, and all this, but they're like, no, I got to make a change now. And they don't care. Dude, those people are in.
Those have been some of my most long-term clients. I always preach about that. I'm like, the people that sign up around October through December always are the ones that get the most progress, that get serious, because they don't make the excuse of like, well, this is coming up. Well, this is coming up. Like, I just don't understand the ideology of like, let's get fatter before I begin.
Well, I think,
sure.
A lot of it's a perspective shift. There's a couple things here I try to teach people. Like, first off, if you're a lifestyle client, especially like, and you're not in prep, like if you eat 3 meals a day, that's 93 meals in a month. If you said my goal is to make 90% of the meals that I eat be whole single ingredient foods, technically you could eat like 8 meals off the rails and still be 90% of goals. Like, I'm not saying go eat 8 meals off the rails. I'm saying there's room for date night. There's room for Thanksgiving dinner. There's room for Christmas dinner and hitting your goals. Like, you can do all that.
Sure.
No, easily.
Very easily.
Yeah. And it's great to learn how to do that. That's one of the big things I get. Majority of my clients are still lifestyle clients. I think a lot of people see what I do with competitors. So they're just like, oh my God, like I want to come to you for competing. So of course that advertising kind of goes, that's the people I have that post all the time. But behind the scenes, I've got, 70 people that want to just get in shape or they want to get healthy. They don't even care about their scale number. They just want to live.
Right.
And I think that's awesome. Yeah.
That's actually a thing that I'm working on around marketing right now because I'm trying to scale my business and bring other coaches on. And I appreciate you talking to me this summer. It's like helped and like set the ball rolling. And now I'm like rocking and rolling. But like that's been kind of the marketing issue. I love working with lifestyle clients. I like working with elderly people. Like the lady who just simply wants to take her 8-pound gallon of milk and rotate it and put it in her cart without throwing her back out. Like I like working with that stuff. But the people that post the most are the people ripping 700-pound deadlifts or the extreme transformations of like off season to shredded prep. And so, and I get it too. There's also this thing where I'm the guy speaking health and fitness. So you got this like jack tatted dude speaking health and fitness, benching 500 pounds. So people that read that, they go, well, he's preaching health and fitness. This is what he does. So this and this equals that. Well, I can't do that. I'm out. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Right.
no, guys, the bar for physical fitness is so low. Like, eat some real food, get enough protein, take a walk, and like 3 times a week for like 30 to 45 minutes, like do something moderately difficult.
Yeah.
Like, everyone can do that.
I think you touched on something there. I think a lot of times people, whenever they think of anything, they think of, where the bar is set. Like if somebody talks about basketball, they want to bring up Michael Jordan. It's like, okay, well, if you're not him, you suck. And it's like, no, like
Right.
you can be really, really good and just not be that. Like, and your goals can determine that. Like, just because somebody doesn't deadlift 800 pounds doesn't mean they're not strong.
That's right.
Strength is relative.
Absolutely.
It's very much relative. And, strength to you might be controlling your body weight, being able to go through your daily tasks without any issue, and so on. But it's all relative to the individual. And I've got people at the gym that are strong as hell that don't compete, don't do anything. And but I think sometimes we get numb to numbers and stuff because we see so much on Instagram that people don't realize, okay, these guys are outliers,
Yeah.
and this deadlift or this bench, that's like 1% of 1%,
Yeah.
That mindset can be good for competitive athletes. Like,
yes.
how it was, but not for lifestyle. Like when I was a strongman, I think one of the reasons I did so well is because Kentucky's known for strongman and brutally heavy strongman competitions. Like Davey McCann just puts on brutally heavy competitions. And when I trained in Frankfurt, I was always the smallest guy in the room, always, every time. And I'm trying to keep up with all these super heavyweights. So I never looked at my competition, the other 105K guys. I never had them in mind. I always had, man, I got to keep up with these guys.
Sure.
On a Saturday. And so when I showed up to competition, it was like, oh, dude, I've been competing against guys that are like 300 pounds and
Oh yeah.
6'2", I'm good.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think it can be great for competitive athletes to be like, hey, I'm not looking at the bodybuilder that I'm going to compete against at this local show. Like I'm looking up at like Breon or whoever else. Like I want to be that. And so there's my eyes are on the prize. Like, let's go. But if you're a lifestyle client or you just want to be healthy, that can be devastating.
Yeah, and
so
I think
it's all context.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, from the coach's standpoint, like it's helpful to hear from your coach sometimes, to reiterate those things. Like, give somebody feedback, because if that's all they're watching, that's all they're seeing, they're going to think they suck. Like I only bench this much. I don't bench that much.
Right.
It's like, yeah, but you've only been lifting for 6 months and you only weigh 150 pounds. That's
Right.
exceptional. You're doing great, So taking a realistic look at it, especially whenever you're, again, first getting started or you're outside of that competitive realm and stuff, you can be really, really good at something and really, really strong without necessarily being one of these outliers.
I've always respected a coach more that can bring somebody from the ground up to doing something
That's
great.
it. Like,
I think that's my favorite thing to do.
Yes, I think the best indicator of someone's coaching ability isn't the accomplishments of their best athletes, but
Correct.
the progress of their worst.
Yep.
Amen.
Absolutely.
I think that's the best indicator, because I mean, Jesus Christ, you take some of these people, like you see some of these athletes and it's like, okay, you can see at 15 he's going to be a freak.
Yeah.
Okay, he can do about anything and progress.
Yeah.
Take this person who's got health issues, who's got injuries, who's got whatever else, and who's never been athletic, and help him get to where he wants to be.
Yeah. I said this
That
the
takes a
other
lot
day
more work.
on my story, because I realized this over the years. Like I've seen a lot of coaches come up because they target certain athletes or try to coach them for free
Sure.
because they know that they're going to be a good
It's
advertisement.
another feather in their hat. Yeah.
And then, but if you handed them a person that doesn't have the best genetics, they wouldn't know a damn thing to do with them.
No.
Yeah.
And that's why I've always sat here and I posted, this is a girl I coached that started and just wanted to get in shape, and now she's a pro bodybuilder. Like, I like stuff like that. I think that's a
Absolutely.
lot of fun.
Or just coaches that give equal attention to other people. Like
Yes.
you could throw like, it looks good to throw out your highest level athlete
Yep.
all the time. But like, no, show the guy whose physique is not dialed in yet, but you know what? He's lost 15 pounds and
Exactly.
he's doing great. Like, that's
it.
good.
That's
Yep.
it.
And that's more realistic to people.
is.
It
And-
is
yeah.
very much. And, and sometimes those people will be guilty of comparing themselves. And it's like, no, like you're trying to compare your chapter 5 to this guy's chapter 15.
Yeah.
Right.
Like he's been in it a lot longer. The fact that you still aren't in single digit body fat doesn't mean you've not progressed. You may have progressed more than he has.
Yeah.
It just looks different on you.
That's like I had a guy and he signed up with me in 16 weeks. He lost 60 pounds. But, he
That's crazy.
he would,
It's
take his
awesome.
pictures, his progress pictures were with his shirt on, and that's how he felt comfortable doing it. But he sent me a side-by-side of his start and the end, and he was like, man, I'm down 2 shirt sizes. And I'm like, this is more relatable.
Absolutely.
Extremely.
100%.
Like, people will see that and they're like, I can do that too. Like, I want to look good in clothes.
Yes. Oh
yeah.
man, that's huge. I want to hear from both of you guys, because something that I've heard you allude to before and you say all the time on your stories, you'll talk about like a good coach, telling you what you need to hear and not always being a cheerleader.
Yeah.
Well, and so what I'm curious to see is how you balance that. Cause I know there were times like I would tell you like, yeah, man, I totally like screwed up with this diet. Or my favorite one was like once I sent you a progress picture and you were like, you're still fat. You're like that was your reply. We're like, we're going to increase cardio 10 minutes. Like that was it. But then obviously I know with your lifestyle clients, there's going to be like you're not going to be quite as.
I talk to people differently based on the person, and you have to be able to, I think that's where a lot of coaching comes from, your personality and how you are with being able to talk to people. And I can differentiate each person based on their goals, what they're trying to achieve, and how I should coach them. And I think that's what why some coaches are successful and why some are not, is because their ability to do so. And I know both of you guys can do that. So it's one of those things where it's like, I have, say you, for example, I know if I tell you, hey, you're fat still, you're going to be like, okay, I need to work harder. But if I tell, my wife's a pro in figure, but if I tell her you're fat, like it's going to be like, okay, that's not like, I can't be like, suck it up, work harder. Like I need to talk to her in a different way for her to stay motivated. And knowing how to do that and differentiate the person and how they need to be treated is what takes them that extra mile. And you have to be able to do that.
I think I agree with you completely with that.
Yeah.
As a coach, you have to be able to, assess each situation, kind of read the client, understand, how do I reach them, and how do I approach these situations? But the one thing that has to be there is they have to know your intent.
Yep.
They have to trust you. You have to build a relationship with that person. They have to trust you, and they have to know that your intent is to make them better. Otherwise, you can say anything and it doesn't mean shit.
Yep.
So establishing that relationship with the client so that they know the intent, like if you don't know somebody and they just think, whatever, and you say, well, you're still fat, like that might be okay once you get to know them. But, so once they know your intent, and again, addressing each person once you get a feel for their personality. And so
that's huge.
Yeah.
I've been using Loom a lot. Have you heard of Loom? It's a software, and you can just click a button and screen record, and your face shows up in the corner, and you can just explain. And so I don't do this with all my clients, but sometimes when somebody sends a check-in and maybe I need to have a come to Jesus meeting, or I need to explain something complex, instead of writing an essay that takes me an hour,
I do that all the time.
I'll send a video.
Yes.
Like if I say, hey, listen, and I can explain something and show empathy. They can read body language, hear tone, all that kind of stuff.
Be able to read emotion.
It's more efficient for me too, because I can say and explain much faster than I can type.
Absolutely.
And try and do all that nuance. Yeah. And then they feel like they're getting this more personal touch as well.
I talk to every single client differently based on that. And like I have to send voice messages to, because I know that they're going to understand what I'm saying better whenever I have my tone.
Yeah.
I'll use videos and voice messages a lot, especially the exact instance you're talking about. Like say it's the first check-in and you've got to address something and you have to maybe call them out on something. You have to address something that's maybe you're going to have to coach,
Yep.
And sometimes I'll send a video, especially in those cases. It's like, okay, I want you to see my face. I want you to see that I'm not just beating the hell out of you. I'm explaining this and you can hear my tone. And it's like, we're in this together. Help me, help you, we got to work together on this. How do we get past this? And, then they see that. Okay. And then from there moving forward, then maybe you can type things out and they'll know the intent. They'll not assume that you're just being,
I go back and forth all the time between video and typing things out. I use a software called Turnkey Coach. Shout out to the guys at Barbell Logic for that. And it organizes everything, but like someone's workout will pop up. Like my response, what I say is I will always reply to every client within 24 hours, Monday through Friday. If you're in prep, you check in right directly to my phone.
Sure.
So we can make decisions on the fly. But it has features in there to like populate who's due first. So if I go over, open my laptop right now, whoever I need to get back to, like right now, the most recent, it'll pop up their workout. I can see all the videos they've uploaded, everything else. And sometimes they might just make a comment. I'll just type really fast. But then maybe I'll see something with their deadlift form, and there's a feature in there. I can stop their video and pause it. I can draw on it, or I can do the video and be like, hey, what I want you to do here is like, you're not setting your lats well. And I can walk through and explain something. I just love that because it just makes it so more efficient and they feel like they get this touch.
I do that. I've got a video app that I'll use and they send me videos to critique their form on stuff, and I'll do a voiceover on their video.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I'll just do a voiceover on their exact video.
That's great.
And send it back. And, and it makes a big difference. It helps a whole lot,
There's a lot of ways. I think that's the important thing is like figure out what is best for your people and then just do that.
Yep.
Each individual person, you know.
Yep. And you can figure that out by listening to them. Like it's not, right. Yeah, it's more about them than it is, you know, making sure that you can reach them and give them what they need.
It took me a while when I first started coaching to learn, like, it's important to coach how they need to be coached versus how I want to be coached or how I think that they ought to be. Like,
yep. You're not coaching yourself.
Yeah. It's to the point now where even in like the check-in process, if they're a lifestyle client, I have a Loom video that I've made. It's like 6 minutes long and it walks through like, hey, here's 5 different frameworks of ways we could do nutrition. You know, I want you to read these and understand it. Let's connect and figure out what's best for your life. I will coach a lot of CEOs that are in airports all the time traveling. A meal plan is a disaster for them. That's not going to work. How are you going to follow a meal plan when you're in airports all the time? Like, you know, so I have guides that I've made for them. Like, okay, cool. Here's like, I made a one guide that's like, the 75 most common restaurants in airports, and here are the top 5 like highest protein to lowest calorie ratio meals. And then like, oh, here's what you should pack for when you're traveling.
Sure.
Like, here's a really high quality like protein that you should pack. Get some beef jerky, roll up into this place and grab a banana and some like hard-boiled eggs and do X, Y, and Z. But like, I'm not going to write them a standard meal plan of like, hey man, I need you to go eat like 180 grams of chicken, 250 grams of like sweet potatoes.
You're not going to
like,
have access to any
what
of that.
I do in those situations is I have clients, because I have a guy that travels 250 days out of the year, and you know, he has his travel diet,
right?
And then he has his at-home diet.
Yes, beautiful.
And there, you know, the travel diet consists of stuff that's easily be able to pack. There's sometimes where I'll include a meal where, say, example, meal 1 is 2 Starbucks egg white muffins and a pack of egg white bites. And that fits close enough to what he needs for that day, but it's something where he doesn't have to pack, you know, oats and, you know,
exactly.
eggs.
Just make it easy.
You know, it just makes it easy. So I have a lot that what I'll do is I'll just differentiate their diet based on their travel days. And then when they're at home, they have something else that they eat.
That's perfect.
Gets progress.
If I have a client who's maybe this is the first time they've went about something like that while I'm coaching them, one thing I like to do too is I'll just give them my direct number and say, okay, like I'll go over a game plan with them. And it's like, okay, text me.
Yep.
And then I'm going to help you make decisions. We're going to do this together.
Send me the menu from each place and I'll tell you what to do. I do that all the time.
That helps so much because then I can quickly explain to them, here's what we're doing. Here's why, you know, ask for it to be ordered this way, so on.
It's a good thing for a service too, because like you got to remember, like we're coaching people to learn over time. And I have a guy that owns like 100+ rental properties and he works with me. He's the busiest person I know, but he literally will message me because he's going to go on all sorts of business meetings all the time. He'll be like, hey man, I'm going here for lunch today. What are a few things that you think I could order? But we've done this so often with so many different places. Like I swear he's been to over 50 different restaurants, and he knows now what to order in any situation based on what I've told him. And now he's like shredded.
Yeah. Look, you know, you can roll up in the
Yeah.
Texas Roadhouse, get an 8-ounce filet. You don't need to eat the dinner rolls. Get some steamed broccoli on the side.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not hard.
Yeah. Get a decision anywhere. Yeah.
So if people want to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
I have Meathead Professor.
Perfect.
So there's a story behind that. I teach a high school logic class 2 days a week where my kids go to a classical Christian school. And so Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, I teach that class. And a couple of my students found my Instagram. And I don't really like to follow, you know, just keep that life separate. And they're like, oh man, they're like, you know, you're like, our professor's like a meathead. And I'm like, oh, and they're like, you should change your handle. And they're like, it just became this whole thing. And then I changed it and it kind of like has like a little ring to it.
That's
so
awesome.
I kind of like it.
Great.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you don't give nicknames to yourself. It's got to be given to you.
Yeah.
So it's like from my students.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
Man, it's been awesome having you on.
Yeah.
We look forward to having you on again, man.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, guys.
This has been Bedson and Coffee Unfiltered. Thank you guys for listening.
Make sure to go follow us on social media.